What happens to a dream deferred? That's the central question from the poem featured at the beginning of Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. Here's a case where the playwright clearly chose the title of the play in order to connect it to a pre-existing work so that the theme of the play would be inescapable. In fact, there's a constant mention of dreams in the play from start to finish. So for my take on the play, I'd like to talk a little bit about dreams and what they do to us. There are two types of dreams, the sleep variety and the waking goal variety. A Raisin in the Sun refers mostly to the goal-oriented life dream, but I'd like to take a moment to talk about the sleep variety because I think there may be some useful links. Dreams have a purpose, but it may not be to send us messages about self-improvement or the future, as many believe. Instead, researchers now believe that dreaming mediates memory consolidation and mood regulation, a process a little like overnight therapy, but it's not a benefit all share equally. People who are sleep deprived also tend to be dream deprived, spending less time dreaming and perhaps not remembering dreams very well. Dreams are the stories the brain tells during REM, or rapid eye movement, stage of sleep. People typically have multiple dreams each night that grow longer as sleep draws to a close. Over a lifetime, a person may have spent 5 or 6 full years in the dream state. How best to examine all that content remains a source of debate, but they do mean something. Usually it's about unfinished business that your brain is working on while you're sleeping. For example, you could be feeling an emotion or experiencing generalized stress, and when your body falls asleep, your brain turns that raw material into a story. That's why it's sometimes helpful to keep a dream journal. Many times we feel things at a level below our active conscious state. We repress things so that we can deal with the day-to-day work that we have to do. Our dreams then reveal to us issues we should be paying attention to that we may be repressing. So how does that relate to the goal-oriented use of the term dream? Why do we call something we hope to do someday a dream? I think the answer to that question might give us some insight as to how the two are related. We call what we hope for in the future a dream because it shares a quality of story with our night dreams. Both are narratives that exist in a shadowy world of uncertainty, and just like with stories, we hold a little disbelief along with the dream. We're not sure we can accomplish what we have dreamt about, and so we have that doubt that remains in that shadowy world. A goal is concrete. It has structure, a blueprint, a plan of attack, but a dream floats out there somewhere, and just like our sleeping dreams, it could change and become something else. Both kinds of dreams are tenuous. They're fragile. And this is where we come to in the dreams of the youngers. In the 1920s and 30s, the discriminatory Jim Crow laws in the South prompted many African Americans to relocate to northern cities in a movement called the Great Migration. Nonetheless, while the North did not have laws demanding policies of segregation, discrimination persisted in the North, leading to segregated housing, education, and employment. In 1949, the United States Congress passed the National Housing Act to address substandard housing and to provide adequate and more integrated housing. In 1954, the Supreme Court ruled in Brown v. Board of Education that school segregation was unconstitutional. And this was the time that Raisin in the Sun was written, and then, and as now, unfortunately, racism limits the dreams of African Americans. And dreams were often, at that time, deferred or even abandoned, not for any shortcomings or character flaws, but because of the lack of equal opportunities. 2020 is not 1959, but we still have undue burdens on African Americans, as we've been witnessing in the news lately. We have not, as a country, put racism behind us, and we cannot claim that all of us can dream equally. And this is why Lorraine Hansberry's play is still important today. It's a complicated story full of real characters dealing with real problems and not always doing the right thing, just like all of us. But as flawed as they are, the characters in this story offer us a glimpse of a dream that hangs on a fragile and troubled thread, and one that might break at any moment. Of course, we should heed the admonition of those who tell us to live in the present and not spend our time dreaming of something that may never come. But maybe that only works when the present is pleasant and fair and just. Maybe we could forgive a person who lives under a system that automatically disenfranchises them for holding on to a dream, no matter how immaterial or ephemeral.